And just like that, the Senior Bowl is over, and we will all be heading home shortly. What's going on, everybody? It's DTereman back live from Mobile. Actually, currently sitting in Dom C's room. It is the closest to the internet, so hopefully the connection is good for everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to the final recap of Senior Bowl practice. Day 3 is in the books. We will no longer have boots on the ground talking about these prospects as of tonight. Wrapped up a pretty good week. Good food, good networking. We even got to go down on the field, Dom and I, which was really cool to interview players. We got a ton of interviews going out on his channel. Really excited for all the content that we have put out this week. So go check that out. DC_NFL draft is now Dom C's new Twitter handle. Please go follow. He's going to join me in just a couple minutes, but wanted to come on and just express my immediate thoughts. I have a couple images that I took throughout the week of, the vibes around Mobile. The stadium was great. The scheduling for practice wasn't perfect, but it made for some good pictures at night when they're under the lights practicing. And the access that we got this week was just it was A1. So there were things to complain about from the media side of it that we can get into at a different episode. But this one's going to be all about breaking down the prospects who were there. I put out a couple tweets of some standouts heading into today's practice, and we have a ton more. So when Dom hops on, we will certainly dive into that. I see Pagan already in the chat. How are you? I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We are literally one subscriber away from 1,500. So hopefully, as I'm even saying this to you guys, it is officially at the 1,500 mark. We are on the road to 2K subs, as you see down in the bottom. And I'm trying to figure out some kind of cool giveaway to give back to you guys, because I certainly appreciate every single thing that you guys have given back to me since I created my channel. And it's only been 9 months on the channel. I feel like it's been a lot longer, but it also feels like it's been a lot shorter. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. I will be taking questions as we go, analyzing offense, defense. We'll probably go chronologically with Dom, all 3 days of practice, national team, American team. And Dom and I had some really cool seats at practice today, which was really fun. We got a little bit of an exclusive. We got to an area of the field where there was really nobody, and it was a really cool experience. We were in the one end zone right in front of the defensive lineman. When Dom hops in, I'll pull up more pictures and possibly some videos from today. But I was literally, dapping up defensive linemen on day 3 practice, and they were going through their drills, and you're shouting them out, and they're responding to you. They're looking right at you as you're filming them. So it was a really cool experience today, of all days, standing in the end zone with Dom. I saw Todd McShay and Steve Mensch. I got to shake Mensch's hand. That was awesome. I'm a big Todd McShay listener and enjoyer of his podcast. I don't always agree or believe in everything he says. He can embellish sometimes, right? But I really like when those guys just take a minute and stop and say hi. Todd didn't stop, but Mensch did. So that's okay, Todd. We'll chop it up one day. Saw Mike Tannenbaum right in front of us, like 20 feet away, interviewing Jim Harbaugh. Before the interview, I saw Jim Harbaugh walking up to meet with Mike, and I said, "Hey, Jim, how are you?" And he looked at me and smiled and, gave me a reply. So that was really cool. I was going to get into it, but Bob Bianchi, 52, any Jets reps there? Yeah, absolutely. So my first tweet of the day was about John Carr, who was a senior. He's the scouting director, the college scouting director. I posted a picture of him watching the quarterbacks warming up in practice, and somebody asked if Muji specifically was there. And I said, no, he has not been cited here by me, but at Media Row, I put eyes on Brian Gutekunst, who's the Packers GM, which was really cool. John Lynch, we were, right in front of him when we were recording our shows with Jake at Media Row with the 49ers, obviously. And then Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was coming out of the meeting rooms as well. And I made eye contact and smiled at him. So that was cool. So those are the only 3 general managers I could, recognize on the fly by face and acknowledge their presence there. But no, Muji was not there. Aaron Glenn was not there. Front office staff, though, I also put in the tweet, Jason Mandolesi, who is one of the most known scouts. If you've watched some of their off-season content on the channel, you'll definitely know who Jason Mandolesi is. Andy Davis, he got to do I think a 7th round phone call in the draft. That's probably his only like exposure on the social feed. But I met him in the airport a couple years ago, and then I saw him again, and we just like said hey real quick while they were walking out. Dom Green I saw in the bar last night, and then I saw him again this morning with Dom watching practice, so that was cool. John Carr, as I mentioned, he was overseeing. He was watching a lot of the quarterbacks. We even got a picture of him talking to Taylor Green, the quarterback from Arkansas. So John Carr was really, it looked like his primary focus was on the quarterbacks. Green and Nussmeier were in the same group with Luke Altmaier. So that was a pretty good group of quarterbacks that he was looking at. And then I saw Robbie Patton, who was George Patton's son, the GM of the Broncos, the one that came over with Muji, famously at the podium with with Muji at the trade deadline, and he couldn't remember who their 3rd round pick was. So that's George Patton. And there was 1 or 2 other guys that I could not identify by face, but they were wearing Jets gear. They were definitely some kind of scouts in the scouting department for sure. Maybe some like area scouts or national scouts or what have you. So definitely saw a lot of representation for the New York Jets, which I feel like in last year specifically when Muji and Glenn came on the job, there was a lot of like banter and like anger about them not going. And I'm just like, they just got hired. They're hiring a staff, and now, unfortunately, they're kind of rehiring a whole entire staff outside of Aaron Glenn, right? 2 new coordinators and a ton of different assistant coaches that need to go. So they obviously are getting good information from the representation that is here for the Jets, but obviously it's not the same as if they themselves were here. So it is what it is. I really don't care that they're not here because I know that those guys in the scouting department have been here for a long time and they do a good job, in my opinion. I've said hello to multiple of them. I did say hi to Phil Savage, and unfortunately, he was rocking his Rams gear. He's no longer a consultant for the Jets, which really bums me. So it's a tough scene for Phil, but I really appreciate the time that he took. He remembered meeting me in Pensacola Airport 3 years ago, and he remembered everything. He was like, "Yeah, I remember everything. Your name and who I used to write for." He remembered Jet Nation, so it was really cool to talk to him. I asked for a picture. I was never going to post the picture, but I understood why he told me no. So that's all good. But Phil was another guy that I saw. Let's see. So yeah, that's the Jets reps question for you, Bob. I appreciate you asking though, because I was going to get into that. Austin Bass, what's up, man? He says, "Ayo, Dylan, awesome coverage so far. Taylor Green sounds like a beast." Yeah, he's really cool. Dom likened him to Randall Cunningham in a way, not like fully, but he was just like, yeah, that's kind of like who he sees when you watch his strides, and he has such long legs. He's going like 3-4 yards at a clip every stride he's taking. So he was running away from a lot of defenders and whatnot. So really, really impressed with Taylor Green in that group. Garrett Nussmeier was also pretty impressive. I said Taylor was the most impressive to me, but I only watched day 1 of quarterbacks, and then I circled back around today and watched day 3 of quarterbacks to see how they improved. And I felt like Garrett was, really hanging in the pocket, really doing a lot of good stuff. And I really liked that specific group. That's the American team quarterbacks: Taylor Green, Garrett Nussmeier, and Luke Altmaier. Altmaier was all right. He was fine, but I felt like Green and Nussmeier did a good job. Real quick with the quarterbacks, I'm Football Kid says Pavia is the go. All balls and pure grit. Dude's the dog that locker room needs. Absolutely not. I cannot disagree with this more. Diego Pavia is a dickhead. Like I'll be flat out. Dom and I were at the media day, like where you're literally supposed to be interviewing these prospects, and Diego Pavia walked right past us. He had nobody following him, nobody anything. He was just looking down at his phone, like, "Hey, Diego, can we grab you for a minute?" And he looked at us and he was just like, "I got somewhere to be," and he put his headphones in and walked away. That and the fact that he has the measurables of yours truly, 5'9 3/4 and 198 pounds. Get the hell out of here! Like that guy's not an NFL quarterback at all. I thought he might have been a 5th round pick at best. Just, somebody's going to fall in love with his traits. He's got a mindset that like could win and could help him in the NFL, but I feel like he gets in his own way off the field more than anything else. So Pavia is definitely not. I see Dom is backstage, but before I bring him on, Kyle Clifton says, "You got to move on. Those divorcees with 3-year-olds, a kid that young won't resent you." I mean, I don't know if I got to move on with it or move on from it, but the vibes were not very kosher around this mom here. And the first question we all looked at and asked each other was like, who's watching the kid? So like it was a weird, it's a Wednesday evening and you're just out here. So it was probably best that we stayed away, but we had our fun and laughed it up. All right, let's see. Sean, thank you. Thanks for the updates, DT. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for tuning in. Gator, how was the food? The food was great. We had some Wagyu beef cheeks and hanger steak at Noja the other day. Me, Jake, and Will. That was a great time. All right, let's get Dom on here. We'll answer more of these questions because I see they're filling in now. He is Dom C of Jets X Factor, newly Twitter handled DC_NFL draft. Let's bring him on from the other side of the Airbnb. I'm actually in Dom's room because the internet's better in this room. Dom's out there with his laptop in the main recording area. But Dom, what's up, man? I appreciate you.
I'm in jail. That's what it looks like. I'm in a white padded
Yeah,
room.
blink twice if you need some help.
Oh, not a whole lot, DT.
Dude, what a week it's been.
Yeah.
It feels like we wait so long to get here. And then it's like 96 hours later, we're saying goodbye and we're leaving. You guys got here Monday a little bit after me, and we're leaving tomorrow morning. Jake had already, he's already gone. So how do you feel about the length of time that we get to spend down here?
Listen, every year I say to myself, I'm going to do it longer next time. Like I want to come in earlier. I want to, my wife always talks about it. She's like, one year on a Thursday night, I'm going to fly in so we can do Friday night in downtown Mobile when they do the parade. We'll do the game on Saturday. We'll fly home on Sunday. I say, great. And, we're going on now. This is my 4th year in a row down here, and I haven't done that yet. So
the parade is cool.
What's that?
The parade is definitely cool. I would advocate to go. If you are down here, just stay for the parade. And if you have kids, come to the game too. It's all a great week.
Yeah, for sure. It stinks to leave. It's probably one of the events that I look most forward to each and every year. Of everything that I do, I like this more so than the draft.
Yeah, honestly, from a content perspective, from a being able to see these guys up close, like Dom, we were literally like breathing on the defensive lineman today. It was such a cool experience.
Yeah, we had some time on the field with the big dogs, literally on the field with the big dogs. And then we found a great spot today. I think that end zone spot is going to be it from this point out. Really getting a close up view of some of these guys and how they handle now. I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter a little bit. They ask me, is so and so, is he going to move up your board now? This and that. No, I'm not going to change eval grades based on what happens down here. Mm-hmm. I'm always the one to say like my evals, predicated on his film because that's what I have. But I will go back and look at some more film now on some guys that I thought was maybe I'm too low on or maybe I'm too high on. I will go back and look at some film over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my favorite draft analysts, Keith Sanchez. I believe he's still currently with the Draft Network, and he does the Locked On NFL Draft. And I told him, I said, you can't scout the same thing twice, right? If you see it on film that he's fast, and then we get through these processes, and then we get to the combine and he runs a 4.38, you can't give him bonus points for confirming that he's fast, right? Or if he can jump out of the building, if a wide receiver goes up and gets a bunch of contested catches at the high point, and then he jumps 47 inches at the combine, like we don't need to mark it down twice. And I feel like that's the most important part, is not getting like ahead of your skis on a prospect, both negative or positive. So like the negative is like, we all knew Diego Pavia was small. When the measurables came in, it's like, okay, you can't dock him entirely. Maybe it's a little bit of a different situation just because of how small he is, but like we knew he was small. So like you can't hit him twice for a negative on the scouting report when I feel like you already know it. So don't scout the guy twice. And also go back and see all week what you've analyzed based on your film. Do the checks and balances almost. What did I see on film that I didn't see here? What did I see here that I didn't see on film? And then you can kind of mesh the scouting reports together, but being here live definitely gives me more of like I feel better about this watching the guy do it visibly in front of me as opposed to just on my screen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. The process is long and arduous, and it's not for the faint of heart, trying to get true evals and grades, and putting your heart and your opinion out there to the open and do something. So
Yeah. So talk to me how you felt before we get into specific prospects. What did you just think of the overall structure of the Senior Bowl this year? Obviously, a lot of shakeups. It's no longer Nagy and the Reese's Senior Bowl. I forget Drew's last name, but it's now him and the Panini Senior Bowl. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of different things. What did you think of the overall structure of it?
they changed a lot of things around. I think probably not so much for the better. I'm sure it's for the better. If you look at how they did, and I'm talking about timetables, like times of things and structures and organization of certain events. I think they geared things a lot more towards the players and the NFL staff. And again, selfishly, it sucked for us. It sucked for us to lose out on pretty much our entire days, because they moved the practices to the afternoons, 1 to 3. I'm sorry, 1:30 to 3:30, 4:30 to 6, or 4 to 6. They moved the media day, which was usually an hour and a half of straight fire for the guys like us. And they moved it, to kind of run parallel to when a lot of these guys had meetings. So we didn't get to it. We didn't get to really get with a lot of the prospects like we normally do. But, listen, there's probably reasons for it. And I got to remember, again, selfishly, it wasn't ideal for me, but I got to remember that this whole week is really about the kids in the NFL team. So it should go towards how they, or what they, what they're better at. So, the structure was, not the greatest. Maybe they'll be open to some open or constructive criticism about next year, and maybe things will change. I don't know if they'll ever change the times back, but if it's going to be sub 50 degrees like it was all week here, they better move that shit back, because it was cold. It got cold at 6 o'clock, dude. The wind howling, the sun's down, the wind's howling inside the stadium. It got cold.
Yeah, like I said in my intro, when the lights went down, it gave it a nice visual in Mobile with the sun setting and the stadium and all the shadows and the clouds and everything. It was cool to look at, but standing there, my feet were frozen, my toes were cold. I could no longer write in my notebook, and that's when I knew. I was like, okay, we got to wrap this up. And I don't regret not going on the field the second time most of those days. Maybe today we could have stayed around, but I was having the phone just wouldn't charge. If my phone could have charged, I totally would have done at least one interview, because I think that's such a cool part. And I think that's, one area that I think that you truly excel at is getting, some of the best prospects on interviews, and you've crushed it. We killed it. Watching you do your thing, doing the interviews, it was awesome. So take me through that whole process of going on field, pulling guys aside and talking their ear off for a couple minutes.
No, well, listen, as I told you, dude, there's no real method to the madness, because sometimes, and some people do. Some people won't take an interview unless they're fully prepped and they, know this and that. Dude, I fly off the cuff. Like, I know these guys, and I know what they're good at, and I know where they've been, just because, I start, in August, I start really getting involved in the draft class. So most of these guys I know, and I know the gist about them and their play style and who they are. The hard part for me is trying to find out, because I don't know what all of them look like, So if they're not wearing the jersey, if they don't have their name on the back of the jersey, but yeah, man, listen, they're 21 to 24-year-old kids. That's it. And I talk to them. I always am respectful. I don't ask stupid questions in the sense of hey, Dylan, somebody says, What's your response if somebody says you're too small to play in the NFL, or man, you had a lot of pass interference penalties last year? You know what I mean? I offer leading questions that are easy for them to answer for the most part, and then I just try to have a little fun with them, man.
Yeah, you gotta give these prospects a couple like softball questions, and I thought it was funny when we were talking to TJ Parker specifically. When you asked him if he would play on Saturday, and he's like, "We'll talk to the coaches. We'll take it day by day and see what happens."
That was a mistake. That was a mistake by me. I didn't
No,
think
no,
of
no,
it.
no. It was not a mistake at all. I thought it was cool because it gave him you get the genuine answer out of him, and he looked right at the camera and he's like, "We're going to take it day by day." So I thought that was really cool. Did you
Yeah.
have a specific interview that you thought was your favorite for you to ask questions to?
I really enjoyed speaking to. I enjoyed speaking to a lot of the guys, but I had I thought I had a really good conversation with Jacob Rodriguez, the Texas Tech linebacker. I thought I had a really good conversation with Jake Slaughter, who I haven't posted that up yet, but I thought that was just the conversation was really good. Just like some of the answers were just really heartfelt. Same thing with Bo Stevens, the interior offensive lineman from Iowa. Justin Jolie was a really easy talk, and Scooby Williams, again, another one that I haven't put up yet. A lot of these I haven't put up yet. But Scooby Williams was like, he got into the weeds a little bit. He offered himself up to that opportunity to kind of not just give vanilla answers, but dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say Scooby, which was our first interview. I felt like from an answers perspective and like how detailed he was in his answers, he was one of my favorites to watch you do your thing with. And then Cole Payton, I really liked. Obviously, I'm a little biased.
Yeah, I forgot about Cole Payton. That absolutely. And I wish we, like a little background of that. Dylan knows it obviously because he was with me. But we saw Cole Payton kind of on the field in the corner talking to some guy. I'm like, man, there's 5 minutes left. Let's go speak to Cole Payton.
Mm-hmm.
And we just sat there and we sat there. And this stupid guy, old, definitely a news reporter, because he was not video, just getting voice, recordings and exchanging numbers with the guy, this, that, and the other thing. He must have had him for like 10 minutes. So by the time we got the call, we had like less than 2 minutes. So it was like rapid fire. But again, he was really, he was a really down to earth kid. Super, super easy to talk to, super personable. You can tell that he loved that, he loved being there, and the moment wasn't too big for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, a little bit of bias. I thought the Jalen Kilgore interview and the TJ Parker interviews were cool as a South Carolina kid now. And getting to ask them about, quarterbacks. That was really my main theme. If I could ask a guy from behind the camera, if I could, 30-second rundown on Cade Klubnik, 30-second rundown on Lenoris Sellers. I asked Zane Durant about Drew Aller, and he called him Big Snipe, which I thought was hilarious, but probably inaccurate based on our scouting reports.
Yeah,
and
true.
And and there was a ton of cool questions. Like we got to ask.
I had fun. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had fun with the Darryl Jackson Jr. Interview today.
Yes, he was great, dude. His hands were like.
I've never shaken a bigger hand in my life than I did today with Darryl Jackson. His fingers like reached my elbow.
He could have gripped around my hand and just totally just crushed it. But he was a great interview. I loved everything. And then we got to ask him about Tanzel Smart, former Jet defensive lineman, was the D-line coach there. So we got to ask him about Zelly and what he was doing as a coach. And then we also got to ask, I forget, there was another question that I asked that I thought was really cool. But I'm blanking on it. Maybe it was another Jet like sort of related question, but getting that access to the players is like one of the coolest things. And I'm glad that for me personally, like going down there and filming it for you, like that gave me a little bit more confidence to speak out and like, ask these guys a couple questions because, like, I don't know why I was scared in years past. Like the first 2 years I was there, like I was literally like, I don't want to ask them anything, but I thought that was really cool. Real quick before we start actually diving into some real prospect talk. Couple questions here from Gator. He says, "Did Jake make you sleep on the wet side?" No, my bedroom could not be further away from Jake's. We can call that planned, but it wasn't planned. It just happened to be Jeremy's room, and my room is always on the far side, so that I can sneak in and not wake anybody up after I come in from a smoke. And Gator follows it up with a $5 super chat. I appreciate you, Gator. I am sending you all the pictures that I've been able to photograph in landscape, not portrait mode, because that was per your request. $5 super chat from Gator. He says, there's too many Jets content creators, but you guys are among the few that put the work in and give us the data. We can't just Google get home safe. I certainly appreciate that, Gator. That is going straight to the Get Home Fund, whether it's gas or food related. So I certainly appreciate that. Dom, you travel out tomorrow. You just got 2 quick flights, hopefully.
Yep. Puddle jumper over to Atlanta. I got a little bit of a wait at the Atlanta airport before I head home to Newark. And I guess from what I understand, hopefully I'll be at Storm home because there's a nor'easter coming.
Yeah, I have to get in my little Chevy Cobalt and get back up to upstate South Carolina before the supposed storm that we're getting to. They said upwards of maybe 6 inches. I heard possibly 12 inches in Raleigh. I don't know if that's good information from back home or not, but it looks like we're getting another round of it, and I have to certainly get out. I'm hoping I can at least hit 9 holes of golf on my way home in Alabama, because I selfishly want to golf in all 50 states in my life. And Alabama is one where I'm like, when am I going to be here with my golf clubs again? Unless I drive to the Senior Bowl again. And I don't plan on doing that for a long time because I'm not fond of long drives, but that's where we're at. We got to beat the storm. I appreciate you, Gator. Now, but we've talked enough about, the outside workings. Dom, we have a couple questions here, prospect specific, and then we'll start getting into our own prospects. We have one from Infrared Jets. Would Dom C snatch up Taylon Green with the 175th pick? I didn't even know the Jets owned 175. That's what, late 5th, early 6th round.
Yeah.
Do you think Taylon Green will be there? And if he is there, is that the guy you're taking your dart throw on?
Man. So loaded question. No, I don't think he'll be there. Yes, if he's there, he's worth the dart throw. Do I think he's somebody that would be of interest to the Jets? I don't know. I'll say this. We saw what we saw today. Whether that's foreshadowing anything, I don't know. But how can you tell what type of quarterback is the guy that I think we're gonna, kind of circle and target when we don't even know who the offensive coordinator is?
Yeah, it makes it really tough. You can only, assume so many things. We think right now it's going to be Frank Reich most likely, but there's also, Ronald Curry, Lunda Wells, and then the 2 other guys that I think would actually be the worst hire.
If it's Greg Roman, I think Taylon Green is smack dab right in the middle of the kind of guy he wants.
Yeah, which it's not an upgrade from Tanner Engstrand. It would be a complete different fit. And we talked about it, we joked about it. That would have been the fit to make last year with Justin Fields, but instead you had a drop back timing offense for a dual threat quarterback who mostly uses his legs. So to revert course and then get the coach that would coach that guy up, I mean, they don't plan on keeping Justin Fields, at least so far. But yeah, I think Taylon Green would well be worth that pick. I would say he's probably closer to pick 100 than anything else, late 3, early 4. For Taylon Green, but he has traits, and that's really what you draft him on.
Yeah, and that's it. And you hit that on the head, Dill, is that the NFL teams draft on traits and projection more than, what have you done for me now or recently? It's more like, what can you do for me? So he's a guy at 6'6", 235 pounds that has, 4 years of college football tape where he's almost every single year gone above 3,500 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. Guys like that get drafted. Plain and simple. Yeah. I mean, there's just that's it. They get drafted.
All right, I see 118 of you guys in the room. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully, we have hit that 1,500 threshold as we are talking to our guy Dom C on the other side of the Airbnb. All right, another question here from Ken Drickles. That's a great name. Thoughts on Jennings Dunker? This is the offensive lineman with the sweet mullet out of Iowa.
Yeah, he's maybe the most handsome man in Mobile. this
Whoa,
year.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I am taking offense,
I'm
Dom.
talking of the players. I'm talking of the players. He's definitely the most handsome player down here this year. No, in all seriousness, I thought he was good. I thought his tape was better. But I thought that coming into this, I had him not maybe not nearly graded as high, but I had him on the Talasay Fuanga track, where great tackle in college, thought he was going to play guard in the NFL. Well, Jennings Dunker, had over 34-inch arms, and at 6'5" and 300 and almost 20 pounds, he can absolutely stay a tackle. But I think he can be an awesome guard as well. He's these Iowa guys are built different, and he's with it, man. I thought his film showed a really complete player. I thought it showed somebody who was dominant in the run game, much more of a power profile. I thought I thought he had a good, wide, strong base, strong anchor. But where he wins is with his hands. Like he's very crafty with his hand fighting, and can get into the defender's chest really, really good, really easily. And he switches it up all the time. His strategy with his hand. So he just seems to be like playing chess when the defensive linemen are playing checkers a lot of the time. So Jennings Dunker, I think, did a good service for himself by measuring in as tall and as long as he did. Now, in fairness, last year the measurements at the Senior Bowl were a lot bigger in both height and in length than they were at the combine. So we'll see if that happens again. But yeah, Jennings Dunker, I think, is a guy that I'll say is probably in the the AVT or the who's the kid from why is he drawing a blank on my brain doesn't work right now. Who's the kid from University of Tulsa? Dallas Cowboys drafted him in the first round.
Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith, yeah. Similar to Tyler Smith. Like these guys can play tackle. They have the body and the skill set to play tackle. They play tackle in college, but they'll probably be ridiculously good guards in NFL. I'd put Jennings Dunker right in that category.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything, but there will probably be a cool Jennings Dunker video coming out on Jets socials that Dom and I saw the behind the scenes of. That was cool. And shout out to some of the guys on the social team that we got to meet this year. That was really cool. Dom and I will probably be featured on the Jets Twitter and Instagram at some point in the coming weeks. I was really excited to see that. My mom was gonna be so proud of me, Dom. I said to him as he was interviewing us, I was like, I think my mom might cry when she sees me doing this. She's the reason I'm a Jets fan, so shout out her. But let's see, we have another question here to get to. I have a couple starred. Keep sending in your questions for me and Dom. Oscar the Grouch, shout out to you, bro. I saw your list of players. I'm going to have to go back and cross-reference it with my notes later. He said, great mini interview with Jacob Rodriguez, Dom. Way to recruit. Yeah, I thought Jacob was cool. He was a great interview.
Yeah, we got a little bit lucky on that one because he was walking in the room and Dylan's like, there's Jacob Rodriguez. And I said, fuck it, let's go. And we were the first ones to get him. So we caused a big crowd right then and there, but we didn't have to wait in the crowd. That's why we didn't have to interview Jennings Dunker, as a matter of fact, because every time we wanted to go, there was like a line of like 4 or 5 guys just waiting there to talk to him, and no one wanted to wait.
Yeah, that was the case with some of the quarterbacks too.
Yes.
But yeah, when you're able to grab a guy, you just grab him. And I saw him with the 10 Texas Tech jersey on. I was like, oh, we gotta get him. We gotta get him. Sick mustache and everything. Jacob was a great interview. Charles referencing a video title of mine from earlier this week when we were flirting with Wink Martindale and Frank Reich, digging for fossils. That is, quite frankly, what we're doing here. Johnny Boy with a Jets-related chat as we were talking about the quarterbacks. He said, is Tyrod Taylor coming back? He just put a video talking about a year 15 loading, and it was all NY Jets. I had not seen him post that. Obviously, I'll take you for your word, Johnny Boy. I know you have no reason to lie to us. But if that's the case, I mean, as a quarterback too, right? Like say you go get a Kirk Cousins who's was expected to get released. You retain Tyrod Taylor for one more season, and then you can still go get a rookie quarterback as your quarterback 3, and then you're not doing the Brady Cook tank, and you have a legitimate plan at the quarterback position. Now, obviously, Tyrod comes with his flaws, but what would you think about Taylor coming back maybe as a QB2?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I got nothing. I got nothing on that.
I hear you on that. Like I said, it's really like it's a net neutral, right? Like but like I'm also not gonna cry, and you're not gonna see veins pop out of my head. I made a couple tweets earlier today. We'll start with the defense first because I felt like defense with the national team was so dominant, and in the American team they definitely flashed as well. I have a list of prospects for everybody to see on YouTube. I'm not going to run through all the names, but I wanted to ask you about a couple of them. And the top guy I had to lead with, Grayson Halton, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. What did you think about him? We were about 15 inches away from Grayson Halton and the defensive line. This is a zoomed out picture from my cell phone today at practice. This is the defensive line group for the American team.
And we were literally, we could have, wipe the sweat off their brows if they wanted to. It was really, really fucking cool.
It was literally the coolest experience I've had at a practice in Mobile for a couple other reasons. And we don't need to talk about what Hamilton was able to do for us, but we had a really good time today at practice for sure. But yeah, the defensive line, Grayson Halton, what did you think about him? And you can just elaborate on other defensive tackles if you want as well.
Yeah. So, I thought Halton was a lot better than he was one of those guys that, I marked down that I'm going to have to go back and watch. I got a 4th round grade on him,
Okay.
My concern with him was that he was a little undersized, right? At 6'2" and change, sub 300 pounds. Like he's not going to be a fit for everyone, but he's definitely has that 3-tech penetrator kind of vibe going, at least on film. But he wins. Like I said, he wins in his pass rush. Doesn't stand up very well against the run. Not a great, it doesn't have a lot, at least this past season, didn't have a lot of like stops. Was more disruptive than he was kind of a stonewall, if you will. But at 14.4% true pass rush win rate, meaning that when the quarterback's just dropping back, there's no play action, there's no motion or anything like that. Down a distance is 5 yards or more, and the quarterback drops back in a 3, 5, or 7 drop back, step drop back. He's getting home, or he's winning that rep 14.3% of the times. 3rd in the nation, only behind Lee Hunter and Zane Durant, as a matter of fact. So two
other Mobile players
players who were really good. And Zane Durant, I have in the, kind of in the same, kind of in that same tier of that 3-tech penetrating type, undersized guy. For Jets fans, think Leonard Williams, right? Not Leonard Williams, Leonard Taylor, who we just lost or just let go to New England. Think about him. Think about the type of skills that he has and the type of player he has. That's where I thought Grayson Halton was, and that's where I thought Zane Durant. We could talk about Zane Durant too, if it's okay with you, Bill, since we're on the phone.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. But first, talk about that man in the middle with the big orange helmet and that big bubble butt, Caleb Banks. Talk about your guy.
Oh, dude, Caleb is like the forgotten soldier. You know what I mean? Last year he was dominant. Coming out of the 2024 season, heading into this cycle last year, when he decided to go back to school, they said, he was a guaranteed top 10 pick. People talked about him. He was dominant. He was dominant in 2024. 2025 comes, prepping, getting ready for the season. He breaks a bone in his foot, had one of those Liz Frank injuries. So he missed the entire season this year. He came back for the last 2 games of the year, which he played sparingly. And he came out and said, he's like, I'm gonna show everyone I'm healthy, And guess what? he showed everyone down in Mobile this week who the hell Caleb Banks is. I'd say on the defensive side of the ball, there was probably nobody as dominant as Caleb Banks. I think Caleb Banks and Lee Hunter were the two most dominant players in Mobile. The two most dominant linemen in Mobile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like the trench play offensively.
The trench play within the trench play, they were the two most dominant. I gotta also give some love to Bud Clark, but that's for another conversation. I don't want to say the best defensive player, but Caleb Banks is just that. I think Caleb Banks absolutely played himself into a mid first round pick. He could be a target for the Jets at 16. I know everyone wanted him in the second round. He could be clearly the target for the Jets at 16. And guess what? I would be elated. I would absolutely be elated if he was, because at 6 foot 6.5, 336 pounds, 338 pounds, with an 84 something inch wingspan, they don't move. They shouldn't move as good as he does when they're as big as he is. Mm-hmm. So, that Caleb Banks is something special, man. That whole group that you guys are looking at right here, the interior linemen and the edge rushers for the American team, were freaking amazing. There wasn't one guy on here that at one point or another made you say ooh or ah, or had Dylan writing, give him double checks, which is a good mark in a DT, in a DT scout notebook. There's not one guy in this group, and I mean that wholeheartedly, that I didn't put positive notes down about. There was not one.
They were all so good. I mean, just in this picture alone, as our friend Nick Shine, happy
he loves it. Nick knows. He said Caleb Banks, baby.
He said, get me Banks, and then he doubles down with his membership super chat of 4 months. I appreciate you, Nick. He says, Banks or bust. Nick, I saw you in the chat, and I put back up this picture because earlier today we were discussing our enjoyment of ass and legs. So I hope you are enjoying and taking in all of the ass and legs in this picture. Just some of the guys you got here. Rayshon Benny from Michigan on the left here, 26. Tariq Sapp, another Florida Gator, in 11.
Tim Keenan right next to them, 92, in between those two.
Okay, I couldn't tell who that was. Yeah, 92. Yep. And then Banks is 88, I believe. And then you have Keytron Crawford in 24. Barrett was the South Carolina defensive tackle. And then you have LT Overton in the 22 Alabama helmet. So, and then they also had like Gabe Jockus, Zion Young, Chris McClellan in this group. Obviously Grayson Holton, who we talked about. So they had some true dogs.
It was so fun to watch this group go get at it, man.
Yeah.
It was so fun to watch this group get at it, for real.
Yeah, I saw the other Alabama guy, Tim Keenan III, and he had a really good rep. And I locked eyes with him, and I was like, great rep, TK. And all of a sudden, I just came out with this nickname for him, and he acknowledged it, and he liked it. So I thought that was cool. Topical super chat, $2 from Philly Noodles. I appreciate you, bro. I saw he did confirm we are going to get some Carolina weather, which absolutely stinks. But he says, hey, Cuzzo and Dom, Rutledge and Halton, 2nd and 4th round. So that's obviously Keelan Rutledge, who you and I also interviewed from Georgia Tech, the offensive center/guard. What do you think about this? I'm cool with this trench double up in the 2nd and 4th round. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah, I mean, I am too, and actually have a 2nd round grade on Keelan Rutledge. I just wonder if it's so hard. It's so hard. Like, I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, man, at the 2nd round, I think we really need a linebacker, more so. And I'll wait until the 3rd or 4th round to take an interior offensive lineman. But Keelan Rutledge is my third highest graded offensive lineman. I love that he has center and guard flexibility. I love that he's not scheme specific. So for our, offensive coordinator to be, whatever scheme he wants to run, whatever blocking scheme he wants to initiate, Keelan Rutledge could kind of fit in. So, yeah, would I be upset if he was our pick in 2nd round? No, absolutely not. I think he's a fucking phenomenal player. I just don't know if that position is where I'm going to move my early capital towards.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I do like the talent of both those guys. I'm not sure if I agree with Rutledge in the second fully. Maybe if like you traded down from 33 or 44 and you're picking in like that 55 to like 63 range or 64 range, whatever that back end of the second is, you can kind of justify it. But probably I don't think Keelan Rutledge is worth a top 45 pick. And like you said, if you got Holton listed as like a 4th round grade, even if he goes, top 100, you probably wouldn't be, completely surprised, especially after the week he had. So maybe we're just not in the range for it, but I would certainly love those two just on talent alone. Dom, how much longer I got you for? I see you're sleeping over there, getting tired over there. I know it's been a long day.
I got nothing but time, dude.
All right, I appreciate it. Let's see what else we got. Peg and Artie, I appreciate you guys tuning in. AG, a 3-4 or 4-3 guy. I think they're going to make more of a shift to 3-4, have a couple more heavier defensive linemen, 5 men front.
AG?
I'm sorry?
Oh, Aaron Glenn. Duh. I'm sorry. It's been a long week. It's been a long week, Peg. Sorry.
I absolutely love that. That was so perfect. No, yeah, I think it's more of a 3-4 defense from here on out. He did say that Wilkes was brought in to like kind of run the San Francisco kind of mold defense with the personnel we had, but it's tough. I would say right now 3-4. Where are you leaning, Dom?
I don't know. I mean, he ran multiple fronts when he was in New Orleans. When he was really calling all the plays, they were more of a 4-3 team based on personnel. I would prefer. I think we actually have the personnel as we stand without free agency and draft, but I think we actually have the personnel that probably fits a 3-4 better. I think Will McDonald's probably better playing as a stand-up outside linebacker. I think Jermaine Johnson can play as a stand-up outside linebacker. Just because you're a 3-4 doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be 3-4 all the time. In your sub packages, your nickel, your dime, when you want to get at the passer, you can have 4-man fronts. We're talking just about base defense. So yeah, I think Harrison Phillips can fit your 0 tech, your 1 tech perfectly well, and you move what's his face, Juwan Briggs out to one of the defensive ends, the 5 techs, and you plug in another 5 tech through the draft or through free agency. Those are low end, low cost guys that you can probably get in free agency that fits that purpose. You bring in some linebackers, you draft some linebackers, and call it a day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot remains to be like uncovered about both the offense and the defense right now, but that makes our job a little bit more fun, in my opinion, because we're looking all across the board. Now, we might be wrong when we say, oh, this guy might be a fit for the Jets, because in 3 or 4 weeks we'll learn something about what they want to do stylistically, and that will change how we approach the draft. But a couple more super chats and I'll get you out of here. Jay Quest says, Dom is dreaming of frozen pizza, or is that me? Jay Quest, I think all 3 of us are dreaming of frozen pizza. Dom and I each have a frozen pizza in the freezer right now, and I am certainly going to be cooking mine up tonight for sure. Shout out Motor City Pizza. Jets Johnny, I appreciate you tuning in. He says DT and Dom C, no ball. That is that's what we like to hear, of course. And then, of course, Nick Shine says, I screenshotted the ass and legs of those hulking defensive linemen, and he will review it later. I'm sure you will, buddy.
Amazing.
Dom, give me like 2 or 3 offensive prospects, and we'll get you out of here as I share on my screen my offensive standouts from this week of practice.
And this will be through a Jets lens. Okay, I think that's fair to go. I think through a Jets lens, I think in no particular order. I'll give you more than 3. I'll give you a couple. I think Malachi Fields was arguably the best receiver, the most impressive for me. I'm not going to say he was the best receiver, but he's the one who made the biggest impact on me personally from where I had him, from the film that I watched. I think that guy at that size shows that he's a little bit more versatile than what I thought of just him being a boundary possession type X receiver. I think he can move him around. He's got soft hands. He can play big slot. I loved that they did that a lot with him. It's just a mismatch, creating mismatches. I thought two quarterbacks really stood out to me. I thought Garrett Nussmeier was the best quarterback in Mobile. I thought Cole Payton, although he wasn't, I thought Cole Payton made the best of what he had. So, when push came to shove, and we watched it today. We watched a bad interception by him. We watched some not so great decision making when they were going live in down and distance timed hurry up situations. He didn't play his best. But man, he can throw a beautiful ball. He can throw a beautiful deep ball. And I love his athletic upside as well. So I think Garrett Nussmeier really, really showed that he's healthy and really showed why he was, a can't miss first round pick. Being talked about as a can't miss first round pick going into this season. There's going to be questions on whether he's going to be a fit for the Northeast. With his size, with his frame, with his hand size, all that stuff. But there's no doubt, to me, he was head and shoulders the best quarterback in Mobile this week. I thought Sam Roush, the tight end from Stanford, I see him on your list as well. I thought he was very, very good. I think Jake Slaughter, the center from Florida, really held his own against, most, if not all of the battles that he played, that he made. He'll admit that he wasn't perfect at times and made lost a couple reps, so on and so forth, but quick to make corrections. Really, really high IQ kind of player, especially for a guy who's sub 305 pounds. He's going to need to be. So Jake Slaughter is one of the offensive linemen that I thought really stood out. Sam Roush, the tight end from Stanford, I thought was good. Malachi Fields, tight end, and I think I hit it with the two quarterbacks.
Yeah, just from the quarterback perspective, I love watching the progression of these guys, right? They just probably take the most under center snaps this week than they have in their entire college careers. So on day one, you see them kind of fumbling around with the ball. The center quarterback exchange is a little tough. So, you want to see how they progress throughout the week. And I think Garrett Nussmeier and Taylor Green stood out the most in terms of that one for me from the quarterback position. Sam Roush, man, he's such a mover. And I feel the same way about Malachi Fields. Like, they were just able to get open, like, really easy. And I understand one-on-ones is probably more conducive for offensive success, of course, because the DB is usually just trying to guess inside, outside where they're going. So I thought they did well. But yeah, I was impressed more with the defense this year, all in all. But there was at least better quarterback play than, we've seen some. You've been here 4 years. This is my 5th year. Obviously, the 1 year you weren't here was the year that the Jets were the full staff and the Lions were the other full staff. And truthfully, it's to your benefit that you weren't here that year, because that was the most boring quarterback practice for the Jets when they were there, the whole staff. So the quarterback play.
The year after was, if you remember, was Malik Cunningham and that crew. Sam Hartman, was it? Sam Hartman, Malik Cunningham.
Yep. Ugh. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Somebody actually asked if I would want Sam Hartman for the Jets. Him and Sam Howell, both the Sams. I'm like, please, can we not? Like, can we not go down that road? But Dom, any final thoughts? I actually have one from Jay Quest. I think it was this one that he wanted me to ask before we got off with you. So sure. I will sneak this one in at the buzzer. Name me one person you guys were spot on with last year and one guy you didn't rank well. I'll take this one first just because my depth is not as good as yours. So like, I'm watching like probably top 50, top 75 guys at the most in terms of like film and rankings. So I'm going to stick with more of the first round. I feel like I was really spot on with my Armand Membu. His foot speed, his ability to get back and his kick slide and everything like that in pass pro. And then the tenacity in the run game. It showed up certain games on film and then it wouldn't, but you knew it was there deep down in Armand. So I feel like I was spot on when I had him. But same position group, Will Campbell. I think I ranked him a little too high. He was like a top 5 player for me, and I know he really struggled in the playoffs, and we'll see what he does in the Super Bowl, obviously for the Patriots. But I felt like he has let up so many pressures and sacks in the past couple weeks, and I feel like I probably propped him up a little too much and should have either looked at him in the lens of a guard because of his length, and maybe he would have went down my board. So I would say Armand, I was right, and Campbell, I was wrong. What say you, Dom, about your prospects last year?
Last year, I had Will Johnson as my third ranked player coming into the draft. I think he played every bit of that third ranked player in the class. He was probably arguably the best corner to play last year out of the rookie class, that is. And again, that was a lot of projection, a lot of based off of old film because he didn't play a lot last year due to the injury. So I think I was probably on with that one. I'm trying to think. I know I didn't have Kelvin Banks in my top 30.
Okay.
So I didn't have a first round. Not that I had 30 first round grades last year. I think I had 17 first round grades. I had 17 first round grades. Because Kenneth Grant was my 17th player, and he's the last one with that grade. So I had Kelvin Banks at outside of my top 30. That's clearly a miss because I think you can make the argument that he was the best rookie tackle last year. Definitely the best rookie left tackle, maybe the best rookie tackle. I mean, Armand Membu might want to have a discussion about that, but I didn't see. I saw a guy who was had a penchant for grabbing or coming up bland in the most at the worst opportune times. So I think that one was a little bad. I mean, I was also very high on James Pierce. I had him as my number 9 overall player, which is a hit. But I was also very high on Mike Green, who was number 5 overall, and that just absolutely whiffed.
Oh wow!
So, yeah,
I mean, a guy with every ability to be a top 5 player, certainly at his position. I just feel like he needs to put it all together. Still a little lean yet, lean Mike Green. But Dom, I appreciate you. Go eat some food for both of us. I'll be out in a little bit, and you can. I will stop commandeering your bedroom. I certainly appreciate you giving me the internet priority, and thanks for hopping on. And
dude, it's all good, man. Chat. Appreciate all you guys, man. Keep giving Dylan some love.
Absolutely. He is Dom C at DC_NFL draft is his new Twitter handle. He is seeing a ton of growth due to the change in Twitter handle. So we certainly appreciate Dom. Thank you so much for hopping on. And thank you as always for getting this Airbnb locked down for us every year. You guys are awesome. I'm going to hang on for a little bit with you guys, answer more of your questions. I have so many questions starred. Somebody said something about the food earlier. I believe it was Gator. I have some pictures of the food here. So me, Jake, and Will went out to Noja restaurant down in downtown Mobile, and their appetizer special was Wagyu beef cheeks. So I got the Wagyu beef cheeks, of course, not just because the name was funny, but because it sounded really good and it ended up being really good. So there's the Wagyu beef cheeks, and then we had a nice 8-ounce hanger steak with a nice wine reduction and some of their famous Noja potatoes. So the food was certainly good. The nightlife was certainly great. I recommend it to everybody. I said it in my last video. If you can get credentialed to be down here, I would certainly advocate for it. It's one of the coolest weeks of football. Obviously, you guys saw how much Jets breaking news happens. So this is the place to be. This is the first time of year where everybody comes in and is all together in the football community from all the teams. So it's definitely a fun time. Getting back to some of your actual football questions, although I had this one starred from Austin. He said, I'm a chef. I'll tag along next year as the official Airbnb chef. I think all the frozen pizza talk is the reason that you're saying this, Austin. And Somebody else said it, Harlan in the chat. He's like, get some real pizza. It's like we're we're 700 miles, if not more, away from real pizza here down in South Alabama. So there's no way. Maybe if they put crawfish on it, is the crawfish pizza or something like that. Like we're not getting real pizza around here. But Austin, dude, if we can make it work, if we get some super chats rolling in, we will certainly make room for you here at the Airbnb. I know the room that Jake was staying in had 2 beds with Spider-Man bed sheets. So I know there is room for one more in this Airbnb, Austin. I certainly appreciate that. And we could enjoy some good home cooking on the way. David D, our resident Lions fan, he gifted 5 membership channel memberships. Jeez, haven't said that one in a while. I appreciate you, David, for tuning in. I saw you talking about AG in the chat and what his defenses do. Yeah, it is a little bit multiple, and we'll see exactly what it comes out to be. But I would just lean a little bit more base 4-3, given the personnel we have. Like Dom said, Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, they can kind of be like your Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb of the Miami Dolphins. I keep going back to that reference just because it's so, close to the vest in the division. But you can have, your big guys across the middle and then 2 stand-up smaller edges. Austin, now the Mobile Wagyu cheeks. I mean, they were good. They were good. I got nothing bad to say about the food last night. Spider-Man bed sheets, says Charles. Yes, there are Spider-Man bed sheets that in the room that Jake slept in. Absolutely, it was like paying homage to one Charles Gorman. Austin, that's probably a fair take. Austin is probably not smart to go anywhere near that room. Our guy 6 rings with $2.79 in Canadian dollars. He says, thanks for Taylor. He saved us with that field goal block. Okay. Thanks for your $2.79. I think we're all Seahawks fans for the next 2+ weeks. So appreciate that, man. Thanks. I don't know what to say to you anymore. I get it. Leonard Taylor was my best video on the channel. It still has like over 3,600 views. It's the most watched film breakdown or any video on my channel. So go enjoy that. Go enjoy you some Leonard Taylor III. I had some conversations with Jets people down in Mobile about Leonard Taylor III, and okay, you got it. Daniel Meehan, or Meehan, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. I believe you're a Dolphins fan. He says, non-Jets fan here. What round does Ted Hurst go in? This is the Georgia State wide receiver for those who are unknown or unfamiliar, like as I was up until 3 days ago. I didn't really know Ted Hurst, but man, he put on a full display of guys of good wide receiver abilities. I'm trying not to fumble over my words here, but I feel like he went up and high pointed a lot of catches. He won a lot of one-on-ones. He created good separation. I believe he had offers to go to more prominent schools than Georgia State. Not saying Georgia State's a bad school, but I think he did a good job of showing out as the small school guy. There's only a handful of small school guys that go down. The other one in the same position room was Tyron Montgomery. He's from John Carroll, which again, if you gave me 10 guesses this morning, I wouldn't have known where John Carroll University is. If you know it in the chat without Googling it, good for you. I did not know where it was. But yeah, I think the small school wide receivers were certainly helping their stock. As far as what round, I mean, maybe he's like a top 125 guy. So late 3rd round, early 4th round, Austin and Big Green, you both cheated. I have no other evidence to say otherwise, other than the fact that you cheated and got the answer so fast. But you guys are correct. But I would say late 3rd, early 4th for Ted Hurst. I think that's probably a fair range. Tony, the GM, he says, how does Taylor Green look? Yeah, he was my most improved. You'll see it here on the screen. Taylor Green was the number 1 quarterback that I shouted out going into today's practice. Obviously Garrett Nussmeier performed well today as well. He has 8 3/4 inch hands, so smaller than Kenny Pickett hands. So I like Taylor Green a lot. I like his skill set. He's a long strider. He was covering like 3 to 4 yards of ground every step, and I felt like he was good with his decision making. He's got good mechanics, good release. He doesn't, especially in a group with Luke Altmaier, who has like a really slow release. It was cool to see Taylor Green, and the ball just had like zip coming off his hand. So that was cool. I appreciate you guys owning up to the fact that you knew prior to me asking the question that it was in that state, because I truly don't know if anybody knows other than John Carroll alumni. Zachary Berner says, "Who the hell is our QB?" So right now, like if I had to like give a hot take or maybe just like a hot prediction that could end up on freezing cold takes for the Jets, I would say, especially if Frank Reich is the leader in the clubhouse to become the Jets' new OC, which is looking like right now. I would say it's Frank Reich. I know it's not the QB, but Frank Reich, Kirk Cousins, and Ty Simpson. Obviously, you could fit in a Tyrod Taylor in between those two guys if you wanted to, but I would say one of those three guys is probably our quarterback. I would hope all three could be in the room in 2026 for the Jets, but I would be a big fan of, Cousins, Ty Simpson, and Tyrod Taylor. So that would be my guess right now. But you can convince me that like a guy like Kyler is worth it, and any of the other names really, except when we get down into like the Sam Howells of the world. I can't do that. Like, just give me Marcus Mariota instead of the Brady Cook tank, and we can be like a slightly exciting but still really shitty 4-win team with Marcus Mariota, maybe 5-win team, and I think that's a lot better than whatever the shit show would be if we had like a Sam Howell at quarterback. Let's see. Did you or do you plan on doing a video on Taylor Green? Yeah, Austin, I was asked to do a Taylor Green video, and as I saw that he was getting accepted invites to these all-star events, I purposely waited because I wanted to get some of the guys that I didn't think were going to be at some of these events out first, because then I can see guys like Taylor Green in person instead of on film, know what I know from this week of practice, go back and see it on the film. Maybe I'll see things from this week that I didn't see on film, and vice versa. So yeah, there will be a Taylor Green video coming. It is hilarious that people on Twitter candidly will just tell me what kind of content is or is not good, and they tell me that quarterbacks are low-hanging fruit. And I say, well, where is the Jets quarterback? Can you find him? And then I do a film review because that's what we got to talk about. We got to talk about the quarterback position. It's not the only position that the Jets need, but first of all, everybody likes quarterback talk. And if you don't, maybe my channel is just not for you. So to the Twitter haters, sorry, not sorry. Harlan, following up with a Taylor Green question, what round? Dom and I kind of hit on it. If he's like a fringe top 100 guy, so like late end of 3, early round 4, and you guys might hear me say that a lot only because, one, like this draft is so unpredictable after pick like 30, maybe even 25, in my opinion, that like anybody could like pick Taylor Green in the top 75 to 125, and it wouldn't surprise me. So I'll probably be giving a lot bigger ranges until we really get through this process, and then we'll hone in a little bit more. But I would say like 4th round is pretty solid for a guy like Taylor Green, because you're going off traits. You're going off, the flashes of ability. Tony, interviews are done. We won't be able to talk to him, and I probably wouldn't ask him if he could switch to tight end, because I don't think he's a bad quarterback to have to switch to tight end. So usually when you're ass at throwing the ball, they ask if you can at least catch the ball, but I don't think Taylor Green is ass like that. Yeah, Austin, it really might be unpredictable after 15. ESPN had 11 first-round grades on prospects before Dante Moore returned to Oregon, so that makes me assume that that's 10. I haven't gone back and looked at the refreshed list, but I would say there's going to be less than 13 first-round picks, and obviously that's, bad at math here. That's 19 picks that aren't going to be first-round grades, theoretically, if all the first-round picks get, drafted in that first round. So it's going to be really weird when we get to the draft weekend, as far as like what team falls in love with what prospect and makes him like the outlier that goes completely against the grain of consensus. And I just hope that the Jets aren't on that side of history too often, similar to the Arian Smith pick. Big Green says, what do you think Muji will do? He might stay safe. So, yeah, there's two approaches really to the draft philosophies, in my opinion. You can go with your early round picks. You can go for high floor and maybe high ceiling, or high floor and low ceiling. Or you can go for a prospect who has a low floor and a very high ceiling. I think I would stray towards, and maybe this is the wrong approach, but I would probably stay towards like the safer draft picks right now. But again, I've kind of been advocating for Ty Simpson as like a higher floor, especially at the quarterback position. So I think it would be based on like probably the position group, the immediate urgent need to have that person start. That would definitely give me more of a read on like how they would feel about it. But I think for me personally, I would stay on the safer side with my first or second round picks and then go for more upside in the back end of the draft. And I can totally be convinced that they would do it the complete inverse. So that's a good question. But I think with the urgency that these guys need to operate with, they're going to have to take some calculated risks and approaches to this offseason team building strategy. And that might mean straying away from safe picks. So good question, Big Green. Zachary says, I don't see any good free agents coming here with all the bad press on the Jets and Glenn right now. Well, the press certainly doesn't help the situation. I just don't think the free agency class is great. Like there's some like heavy hitters up at the top, like Devin Lloyd, Quay Walker, Tyler Linderbaum. Obviously now Kirk Cousins as the quarterback. If Kyler Murray's cut, like there could be some potential big fish, but a lot of guys are old, like Mike Evans and Trey Hendrickson and guys like that, where even if they do leave their teams and don't get re-upped, like are they going to want to come to the Jets and be on a rebuilding team when they're 32 plus years old? I don't think so. So the free agency class is not really crazy inspiring to me overall. But yeah, I mean, the Jets got to get out of their own way to become attractive. And unfortunately, my only solution for that is to just start emulating a good franchise. Like if the Rams would make this decision, make that decision for the Jets. And if it doesn't work because we're the Jets, then so be it. But at least like you go down making choices that aren't like in real time. Well, damn, that's a stupid ass decision. Why would you pass on Ty Simpson? The Rams are right there and they take Ty Simpson and everybody's like applauding the pick. So obviously it's different situations, but you have to emulate good teams to become a good team eventually. Harlan, I disagree. I think they should at some point, if he's cut, go after Kyler Murray. I'm not trading assets for him, but look, if the goal for Aaron Glenn is 8 to 9 wins to save his ass and keep him around for year 3, and we can honestly not have the debate about whether it's merited to get that third year or not. Clearly, we're pretty much all in agreement that it's looking like it's not, but you have to go get a quarterback that's not going to like the ceiling can't be 4 or 5 wins. Now, the floor with Kyler Murray is like 4 or 5 wins. Sure, if he can't stay healthy or, Call of Duty drops a new Warzone map or whatever it is. But you have to go down as a coach and a front office taking a swing that's going to lead to the best results on Sunday. And to me, Kyler Murray, of all the quarterbacks now, obviously Kirk Cousins changes that landscape a little bit. But I would say Kyler Murray gives you one of the better chances to win 8+ games this season and, not necessarily save the coaches, but show that the coaches can improve. So that's the only reason I push back on Murray. I get it from the off the field and like maybe the character concerns there and stuff, but I'm cool. I like Kyler Murray for the Jets. All right. I don't see any more questions. Oh, Pegan already had one that I starred. Maybe I'm just a homer and a nut, but I think this team can improve greatly next season. They have all the assets to be able to improve on paper, on the roster, certainly. I feel like it's tough, right? Obviously, we can question all the coaching and everything like that, but on paper, this team has to look better. There's no way – this is a 0-win roster right now. There's no way it can't look better, even by accident, but with some of the free agent picks, the free agency dollars, the draft capital we have. So maybe you are a little bit of a homer, and you certainly are a nut. I'm talking to Artie, not Peg. But yes, there's certainly reason to believe that that this can be improved next season, and hopefully the coaching can get it right. Oscar the Grouch, do you expect the Jets to hire an OC who was not on their candidate list, similar to how they did with DC? Yeah, they could. And the name that I think I would invoke is Joe Lombardi. He was fired in Denver, I think Wednesday, so yesterday when we were at practice. The news came out that they fired Lombardi and moved on from like 2 or 3 other assistant coaches in Denver. I think that was more to make way for Davis Webb to become the OC in Denver and keep him around with a promotion and a raise. But yeah, I would totally take yeah, I forget where I was going. I started reading a super chat, but yeah, I would take him. I would take Joe Lombardi over the guys. That's the finishing of my thought. I would take Joe Lombardi over any of the guys that we interviewed. Now, I guess if I'm quickly ranking the guys that we have interviewed, the 5, it would go Lunda Wells, just because the Cowboys have good offensive play every single year. So give me something that resembles that offense. So Lunda Wells would be 1. Frank Reich would be 2. Ronald Curry would be 3. Greg Roman would be 4. And Darrell Bevel would be 5. And I don't understand why he's even on the list. Light Grenade, I appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, something about YouTube, man. Their notifications are really bad, man. 6 rings, nobody cares about that, truthfully. Go Hawks. Maybe you're right, Austin, about Lombardi, but who knows? I feel like you could say that about everybody. But again, there's only one of 32 of these jobs around the NFL, so you never know. We're over an hour and 15. If you have any specific prospect questions, as you can see, I have some lists right here, offensive players and defensive players from my standouts at the Senior Bowl. If you have any more specific prospect questions, I'll answer them. I see 147 of you guys in the room. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'm gonna guess with a little bit of confidence that we got at least one subscriber, and we got to that 1,500 platform or threshold. Yes, 1,510. Thank you all so much. I certainly appreciate it. That is greatly, greatly appreciated, and I love it. So, any specific prospects you have from the Senior Bowl? Oh, Jets Johnny, I saw you ask about CJ Allen before. I haven't done the full tape study because he wasn't a Senior Bowl guy, but I like him. He's going to be a top 50 pick, if not a back end of first round pick. He's super special. That's the Georgia linebacker. So, yeah, him, Anthony Hill, Sonny Styles, like you could convince me that any of those guys would come in and be a day 1 starter, especially for this Jets team. Zachary, no, I do not have any Shrine Bowl player thoughts, only because I put so much more of my like time and priority into the Senior Bowl roster that I haven't even looked at the Shrine Bowl roster. The only guy I know is at the Shrine Bowl is Cade Klubnik, and then Daryl Jackson, who came from Shrine to the Senior Bowl. So no, I have to do a lot more digging. I have to still do the inputting of the measurables from Shrine in my database. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a ton of notes on that one. Like Grenade, I have not looked at Jake Slaughter's film. The offensive line groups are probably where I'm going to like wait the longest on, because I want to see what they do with Simpson, AVT, and things of that nature. So we'll be looking at like some day 2, day 3 offensive linemen for sure. I'm not familiar with Jake Slaughter's film, but we did speak to him. Dom and I spoke to him at the media day yesterday, and he was a really good interview. So I suggest when Dom releases that, whether it's through his platform or JetX, that you check that interview out. I will say the center from Miami, not Florida, but the center from Miami, James Brockermeyer, he was pretty good on the offensive line, and there was a couple other centers, but I think him and Keelan Rutledge to me were the 2 best. But yeah, I need to go back and watch offensive lineman film for sure. But yes, he was a Senior Bowl guy. Yeah, you're good, Jets Johnny. It's cool. I saw you asking about him, and I tried to star the comment, but I lost it by the time, and I'm glad you asked again. The Senior Bowl game, Greg, shout out to you. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully the storm didn't hit you too bad. When is the Senior Bowl? It is Saturday. I'm sorry. Tomorrow is the like the parade and stuff like that. And then Saturday is the game. Unfortunately, I normally don't attend the game. I get passes for it just in case I have no plans and want to stay back. But with the incoming storm and having to work on Monday, I'm not risking getting stuck out of South Carolina on my ride home, because if we get like 3 or 4 inches of snow, those roads aren't going to be plowed and everything's going to be closed for 4 days in like my immediate area in upstate South Carolina. But the game is on Saturday. Yeah, the John Carroll receiver, Tyron Montgomery, he had a lot of flashes. He had like 1 or 2 drops today. The third drop I won't put on him because it was an outside of the frame catch. One of the outside of the frame catches I will put on him because he had both hands on it and he dropped it, and then he had a flat out drop. But other than that, he was super impressive in team period, 7-on-7, 1-on-1. It didn't matter. He was routing guys up. So that was a really fun player to have no knowledge coming in on and get eyes on him. Yeah, that's Tyron Montgomery from John Carroll, which, by the way, is in Ohio. AJ Halsey pulled out of the Senior Bowl event at the last minute, whether it was travel related or whatnot. So yeah, I was excited for him, but Halsey was not here. Jeez, Greg, that's crazy. Never below 80 degrees. I mean, I know some people in like Texas that don't come out if it's like under 50 degrees, but like, dang, never gets under 80 degrees in Venezuela. That's cool. Shout out to you tuning in from Venezuela. You might be the only person I've ever known to tune into the show from a South American country. That's awesome, man. Shout out to you. Jets Johnny 0 for 2. He was not here either, but I'll give you half credit because he was on the list originally and he backed out last minute. I hear him getting comped to like Deion Burks and stuff like that. Or not Deion Burks. I'm sorry. That's the Oklahoma wide receiver in this class. I hear both of those guys getting comped to Zay Flowers of the Baltimore Ravens. So if that's Casey Concepcion's game, I will fall in love when I officially do the film dive and watch him. But he was a wide receiver that I purposely left off the list because he's going to be at Senior Bowl, and he ended up not coming. So unfortunately, I don't have a ton of notes on him. But from what I've heard talking to people, they were a little bummed that he wasn't here to showcase just how good he was. Yeah, I don't want you to go down swinging on 3 straight pitches. It's just unfortunate. But the roster changes. Like, it's fluid. It's completely fluid. And this year specifically, it's tough with the weather. So I'm not mad at you at all for that, but it is just unfortunate you happen to name 2. Let's see, Zachary, and then we'll get on out of here. Over an hour and 20 minutes, trying to keep these under 90 minutes. 144 of you guys in the room. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, both on X or Twitter and YouTube alike. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. Don't hit the subscribe button if you are already subscribed, like Harlan mentioned earlier, because then you will no longer be part of the community. So keep helping me grow the channel. Possibly some new opportunities for your boy on the horizons, talking to some people at the Senior Bowl. But back into Zachary's question, who in the Senior Bowl would you draft in the 4th round? Well, we talked about a couple of them with Taylon Green. Grayson Halton was the one that Dom said earlier. Jalen Kilgore, the South Carolina safety, he's in that like 3rd to 4th round range for me. Same with Kamari Ramsey, safety from USC. Chandler Rivers, I got good eyes on today for the cornerback from Duke. Somebody asked me to put eyes on, and I thought he was really sticky in coverage. He could be another 4th round guy. I think the Senior Bowl is like, it thrives on 3rd to 5th round picks. So I hate to sound like a broken record, but there are like 80 so odd picks in the 3rd to 5th round. So I think the Senior Bowl is really going to clean up in those rounds for sure this year. So honestly, there's a lot of guys like Nadeem Tucker, the DN from Western Michigan, on my list right here. I didn't know where he was supposed to go at all. I didn't even know who he was. I kept calling him a Dame Turner because I didn't know how to read my roster apparently. So yeah, it's crazy. All these guys, like obviously some of these guys like Lee Hunter, Zion Young, okay, Jacob Rodriguez, he could be a 4th-round pick, or Caleb Alarms, or the linebacker from TCU. Malik Muhammad, I just mocked to the Jets at 103 in my latest mock. So there's plenty of guys in that 4th-round range. Thank you for tuning in, Austin. I certainly appreciate it. 1.5, we have hit it, and now we are on the way to 1.6 and then beyond, on the road to 2K subs. Certainly appreciate it. Yeah, like Grenade, I'm not trying to, let the cat out of the bag because I don't know if it's all going to come to fruition or not, but this is why you come to Mobile. You have to network, and you have to, get contacts and talk to some of the right people. And I think I did a good job of that. We can anticipate a lot of good guests coming on the show. I don't want to confirm any until like I go and DM them and talk to them after this week. But I had some cool people follow me back and open up their DMs to me to allow me to invite them to come on the podcast. So that'll be really cool. Sir Lucas says, not snowing in Sri Lanka. Is that where you're tuning in from? Shout out. Shout out. International DT on the airwaves. That's cool. That makes me feel really cool if you're from Sri Lanka tuning in to any of my content. That's awesome. Zachary, where in South Carolina are you from? I'm from upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg area. About 2 hours away from Tennessee, Pigeon Forge area, about 2 hours away from Atlanta, 4 hours away from Myrtle Beach, 4 hours away from Charleston, about an hour away from Clemson and an hour away from Columbia. So like smack dab in the middle of tiger and cockfighting. It's a little right in the middle of it. There's like funny bumper stickers of a gamecock and a tiger yelling at each other, and it's like Clemson, South Carolina based for the Palmetto Bowl every year. So yeah, I'm in upstate South Carolina. I drove down here. It was probably about like 7.5, 8 hour drive. Truthfully, not looking forward to the drive back if I'm just being candid. But all right, we'll leave it there. Almost at the hour and a half mark. I certainly appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys are awesome. I know a lot of content has been coming out for the Jets specifically, and then you obviously have the draft stuff infused, and we're trying to figure it out on this side of it. From my perspective, what is the best for the channel? So if you guys have any thoughts, if you guys want me to, do more forums about draft coverage moving forward for the next couple weeks, or if you want me to go over like OCDC stuff, I mean, truthfully, I'm not really enthused by the potential hire, so I'm not really in love with talking about them for a half hour or more, but I will certainly talk draft prospects with you guys. So you can definitely expect a lot more draft content coming, and obviously some Jet stuff mixed in as these hires fill out with the staff. So my camera's telling me it's time to quit. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button one more time for me. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. On the road to 2K subs. Certainly appreciate it. DT signing out for the final time in Mobile here at the Senior Bowl. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, happy drafting, and let's go Jets.